if they take no other lesson from my class, I hope they remember that humans have a tendency to assume the worst of people, that when they cut them off in traffic, that they're a jerk. But so what generally happens is there's two ways of doing the lesson is sometimes I'll have the students just brainstorm a situation where somebody did something like unfairly to them, pushed them, in the hallway, or cut them off in traffic if they drive. Or so I'll ask them, like, think of a time that, something that happened near you and somebody did something unfair, something, that's kind of socially unacceptable. And what was the first thought that comes to your mind? And they'll write about it in a journal, like, just what came through their mind. And they'll have them share with a partner, sort of, okay. And they'll stop and think, okay, so then, have you ever done something socially unacceptable? Like, have you ever cut somebody off in traffic? Or have you ever, not responded to a friend's text, or not, and so I said, can you think of a situation? So can you journal for a few minutes about some time you did something sort of socially unacceptable, and how would you explain why you did it? And what we find is, and then they share with a partner. And when they compare, when other people, for example, cut them off in traffic or push them, or a friend doesn't respond to a text, they almost always come up with explanations about the person's personality. Oh, they're thoughtless, or they're rude, or they're a jerk for the driver. And then when they cut someone off in traffic, they're like, well, I was late. I didn't mean to. Like, I was, I just, realized I was about to miss my exit. I was just distracted. And so all these situational explanations for why they did this thing. Because normally they're a good driver. I was a good driver. It was just this situation happened, this external factor. But when somebody else does it, oh, they're a jerk. Yeah. And so I told them, so I'll say, oh, this is actually a human tendency. It's fundamental. It's this widespread mistake humans make. So it's called fundamental because it's widespread. It's an error, but it's an attribution error, meaning it's a mistake in how we explain things. So when we explain other people's behavior, we tend to assume it's because that's who they are, that's their personality. But that the minute the tables turn on us, we tend to focus on the situations. So So after we discuss on what fundamental attribution error is, I'll ask to think of the implications of that. And I usually show them a really quick video by Dr. Claude Steele at Stanford. He came up with the term stereotype threat. So he talks about in his book, Whistling Vivaldi, I just showed them a super short clip. Anyone could find this, by the way. If I'm trying to think, if you're trying to find this, it's on Dr. Claude Steele, Whistling Vivaldi. You can easily Google it. But if you Google this, it comes with a quick 8-minute video, but I just show the first maybe minute or two. And it asks Dr. Steele, how did you come up with the title for your book, Whistling Vivaldi? And he'll explain, well, there is a New York Times editorialist, Brent Staples, who was on college campus, was an African-American, a big African-American guy. He noticed people would cross the street or clutch their bags. And he felt really depressed because people were judging him, just looking at him. It's oh, this, threatening African-American guy, what does he want? And so then he was thinking, and I thought this was genius. So when the students see the video, you can see them start to smile when he explains that when he whistles Beatles tunes or Vivaldi, all of a sudden, because it's on a college campus, people see him differently. In any case, when he's whistling these songs, all of a sudden, he said people, he seemed to sense people more comfortable on him. They'd hear him whistling Beatles or whistling Vivaldi. This African American guy whistling classical music. They saw him as a college student. It matters. The way we perceive people matters because I'll say why does it matter? And usually the students you treat them differently, right? If you see him as threatening in some ways, then you're scared. But if it's he's just another college student, then he's approachable and you're more likely to say hi. So the first part of the lesson is just really establishing that. Then I usually will play just one more really quick clip, which is it's from a New York Times series called Conversations on Race, and one is called A Conversation with Asian Americans on Race. And the first clip is the one I show. It's a Korean woman who is talking about how on the phone, when her dad calls her, he'll say to her, don't talk like that. You sound Korean. And she's like, because I am Korean. He's like, but you sound like a Korean on the phone. She's like, because I'm on the phone with you. And his message to her is well, you shouldn't. And then I'll stop there. They're like, what's the father worried about? My students are largely of Asian ancestry. They'll say, they're worried that people will judge her as not being American. So what would the world look like without the fundamental attribution error? Really just a world without, this this error. I guess I'm trying to get them to see that just because you have this, if you're aware of this fundamental attribution error, this readiness to judge people, if you could just put a pause between the judgment and the action, that maybe they could be, I don't know, a little kinder. That's really the goal, is to get them to see, oh, if I give people the benefit of the doubt, I might open up the possibility of meeting people that I wouldn't, or ordinarily give a chance. I do think this idea of just a little more empathy for what people are going through is, or like maybe we can say, like, we disagree, but trying to just pause. What might have made them act that way? People say first impressions matter. Why is that so vital to, like, what do you have to do knowing that they're going to judge you right away? Like, think carefully, like fundamental attribution error, they're going to judge you, right? Whatever you do, like, they're going to assume that's your personality. So, what can you do to, like, you can control the narrative. You can control the way they perceive you.